The megapede towers over the arena. It is enormous. The crew can hardly comprehend what they are facing. Its segmented body coils across the sand, countless legs scraping against the ground as it lowers its head toward them. It is less an opponent than a living fortress. The crowd loves it. Cheering and clapping fills the arena as the megapede surges forward, attacking its prey. Donnie dives beneath one of its enormous limbs and comes up swinging, while Elena fires into its side before rushing in with her scimitar. She finds a gap in its armor between two plates and cuts into the softer flesh beneath. The creature twists toward her, ferociously chomping. Then it shrieks. The sound seems to pass through the body rather than simply enter the ears. Violent psychic vibration makes everything feel wrong inside the heads of those caught in its path. First, Odie drops to his knees, then Donnie as he clutches his head. Blood runs from his nose. Elena staggers beside him, overwhelmed by the pain. For several agonizing seconds, none of them can act. A massive limb sweeps across the arena. Argent dives beneath it, rolls clear, and comes up firing. The shots spark against the thick shell and ricochet away. He fires again. Nothing. Argent lowers the revolvers, staring at the creature with something approaching personal offense. His weapons have dropped enemies far larger than himself, yet this hide seems almost completely impervious. The megapede slowly turns toward him. Argent starts sprinting before the megapede can act. He sees Elena, who has begun to recover, and runs towards her. Despite her injured leg, she braces herself and gives him a powerful push, launching him upward, hurling through the air. Argent lands on the megapede's back and fires downward at point-blank range. The shot sparks. Again, nothing. He fires again. Still nothing. The megapede bucks violently beneath him. In the confusion, Oti comes charging in, with both hands gripping his shillelagh. He swings with all his strength. Crack! The staff slams into the megapede's shell. A fracture spreads through the armor. Argent's head snaps toward the sound. His eyes move from the crack to Oti's staff, then to his revolver. There's no time to react as the megapede shrieks again. This time, the psychic wave catches Argent. For a fraction of a second, something warm seems to run from his nose. Blood, he thinks. He touches his face. Nothing on his fingers. The sensation remains, an impossible phantom pain that feels disturbingly organic, as though some part of him remembers what it means to bleed. He suppresses it and keeps moving. Beneath the megapede, Donnie finally gets up on his feet. Seeing the megapede distracted, he charges under the megapede's head and drives an uppercut up into its jaw. The creature's head snaps backward. Elena follows, cutting deep into the exposed section between its plates. The megapede shrieks and rears upward. Elena flinches against the psychic assault, but forces herself through it. Donnie manages to shake it off and continues to fight. Odie strikes the cracked armor again, widening the fracture. The creature twists violently, trying to attack all simultaneously. Donnie grabs one of its enormous limbs and pulls with all his strength, forcing its body to turn. Elena drives her scimitar into the exposed section again, keeping its attention on them. As Argent rushed below the megapede's twisting attacks, he sees a line, an opening. He finds his up and races along the megapede's segmented back toward its head. The creature rears higher as it tries to thaw him off. Argent reaches the top and leaps into the air, twisting around himself to avoid the fangs of the beast. The revolver bayonet punches deep beneath the cracked shell. He twists the blade, forcing it farther inside until the revolver is buried halfway into the creature's head. The megapede thrashes in pain. Argent holds on and pulls the trigger. The shot tears through its skull and bursts out the other side. Silence falls over the arena. The enormous creature remains upright for another heartbeat before its legs finally buckles. Its colossal body collapses into the sand with a thunderous impact, folding in upon itself and shaking the entire arena. Argent leaps clear, tucks into a combat roll, and comes up beside the others. His head turns rapidly across the arena, scanning for further threats. Donnie joins him, brushing the dust from himself. Elena steadies herself on her injured leg and lowers her smoking pistol. Oti stands, proudly holding his shillelagh above his head, still covered in green slime from the previous battle, as he chants at the crowd, "Oti, Oti," complete silence. Then the arena erupts. The clans rise as one, roaring and cheering. 3 battles, 3 victories. Even Vokath watches them with genuine interest. Boom! A blinding light pours down from above. It is impossibly bright, a column of pure white radiance illuminating the entire arena. The crew instinctively shields their eyes. This is not part of the show. The cheering quiets instantly as something enters through the light above. A shape descends, growing larger with every passing second. In the silence, you can hear the sound of wings as a gigantic solar dragon crashes into the arena, its immense body striking the sand with enough force to send a shockwave through the chamber. The crew is thrown backward as the dragon spreads its radiant wings. Upon its back sits an elven prince. He is young, but there's nothing youthful about the authority with which he carries himself. His ornate armor is covered in jewels and intricate goldwork, extravagant enough to make even the palace around him seem modest. A massive sword rests in his hand, its blade glowing with the same celestial radiance as the dragon beneath him. The prince looks across the battered arena with a look of discontent.
I am Prince Zeleth, son of the Emperor of the Astral Empire.
His voice carries effortlessly through the chamber.
I have come to put an end to this little gathering.
His gaze settles on Zidali.
And I have come to collect my sister.
Zidali stands among the gathered clans near Vokath's throne. Zeleth extends one hand toward her. Several shimmering portals open around the arena. Through them, the crew sees warships. An entire fleet hangs beyond the palace, weapons trained upon Vokath's station. More portals appear, revealing formations of astral elf vessels surrounding the settlement from every direction. The message is unmistakable. The Astral Empire is already here, and to disobey means war. The chamber falls completely silent. Zeleth lowers his hand. Zidali, come. The princess slowly steps away from the gathered clans and walks down into the arena. Zeleth watches her approach, and for the first time, his expression softens.
Dearest sister, there you are.
Zidali stops several paces away from him. Argent steps forward.
You have recaptured her then, after you disposed of her.
Zeleth turns his gaze toward the Warforged. For a moment, there is almost amusement in his eyes.
Well,
He says calmly.
I am the sentimental type.
Then something happens. Elena suddenly stiffens. An invisible, spectral hand settles gently upon her shoulder. The voice that follows does not come through the air. It speaks directly into the minds of Argent, Donnie, Oti, and Elena. Zidali. She explains that the ring of shooting stars is their only chance of disrupting the ritual, and that somehow they must keep it out of Zeleth's hands. The Zidali, before her brother, is an illusion, keeping his attention fixed upon her. Then Donnie breaks the tension. He suddenly launches himself towards Zeleth, attempting to punch him. It is not part of the plan. It is simply Donnie acting on his anger and his particular brand of recklessness. Zeleth is momentarily distracted, and that is enough. Zidali lets the ring of shooting stars fall into the sand. For a brief moment, it radiates a faint light. Argent sees it and immediately kneels, shielding the ring from view as he reaches down to retrieve it. At the same time, he apologizes to Zeleth for Donnie's transgression, giving him a reason to be on the ground. His fingers close around the ring. Zidali returns to the body standing before Zeleth. Her invisible form merges gently back into it, leaving only the real Zidali standing before her brother. Zeleth watches his sister for a moment, and then turns toward the solar dragon. Zidali follows him onto its back. The dragon spreads its enormous wings. Zeleth looks back at the crew. Donnie has earned himself a punishment. The The solar dragon turns toward the arena and opens its jaws. Radiant energy floods its mouth and chest before it unleashes a devastating flare of solar fire. The blast washes over the crew, throwing Argent, Donnie, Oti, and Elena backward in a wave of blinding heat and light. Then, just as quickly, it is over. The solar dragon rises into the air with Zeleth and Zidali upon its back. They disappear into the blinding light above the arena, leaving the crew battered in the sand and the ring of shooting stars safely hidden in Argent's hand. Vokath has the wounded brought upstairs to the palace's medical area. Whatever doubts he had about the crew have disappeared. The arrival of Zeleth and the sheer force of the Astral Empire have made the threat impossible to ignore. Elena's leg is in particularly bad shape. The Tarrasque had already done severe damage, and the solar blast has made matters worse. Fortunately, Vokath is not merely a powerful businessman. He is an exceptionally skilled mechanic, and he takes on the work himself. The procedure is difficult, but the result is remarkable. By the time Vokath is finished, Elena has a sophisticated metal replacement that functions almost like a natural limb. As Elena recovers, Argent examines the new leg.
Well,
He says dryly,
it could be worse. You could call yourself Elena Silverleg.
He looks over the polished metal.
Besides, it's not all bad. You're made of chrome now.
Elena gives him a look that makes it clear she is not entirely sure whether to be offended. While she rests, Vokath begins making arrangements for a larger meeting. That evening, he will bring together the 5 clans gathered in his palace to decide what they intend to do about the Astral Empire. The situation has changed completely. Zeleth knows where they are. Zidali has been taken. The crew has now witnessed firsthand what the Empire is capable of, and there is no longer any question that Doomspace can face it alone. The meeting brings together the 5 clans, the Arakocra birdfolk, the Artuk plant people, the 3 Kreen mantis folk, the Hadazi monkey-like spacefarers, and the Suran reptilian fish-like people. Prince Amdur is also present. He makes it clear that the Prince's corporation has a stake in what happens next. If the clans can unite, he will do everything in his power to bring the Prince's corporation into the fight as well. Their interests are aligned. The Astral Empire threatens them all. The clans argue among themselves, each reluctant to commit unless the others do the same. The Hadazi are relatively easy to convince. They respect what the crew accomplished in the arena, recognize their fighting ability, and understand the cause they are fighting for. They are willing to join. The real deadlock is between the Arakocra and 3 Kreen. Neither wants to be the first to commit. Each insists that it will join if the other does, leaving both locked in the same argument. Elena and Donnie work together to break the deadlock. Donnie speaks openly about what the Astral Empire has already done to Lyra, and what will happen to countless other worlds if nobody stands against them. Elena reinforces the point from the perspective of someone who has seen the Empire's power firsthand. Neither asks them to fight because victory is guaranteed. They ask them to fight because doing nothing guarantees defeat. Oti spends time with the Artuk. He has begun learning their language, though his attempts to speak it remain wonderfully strange. The plant people have little interest in grand politics. They want to live, eat, grow, and remain on their world. The problem is simply that the astral elves are coming, and if nothing is done, their world and their entire species will be destroyed. Oti manages to make the situation understandable in his own peculiar way. They finally agree to fight. Argent has less success with the Suran. They are interested in gold, power, and plunder, and they want one of their own to become Admiral of the United Forces. Argent has little left to bargain with, and cannot simply promise them a position that has already been given elsewhere. Then Oti steps in. He offers them something different. If they join the coalition, he promises that their people will not be forgotten. Statues of their clan will be raised on every world they help save, so future generations will remember who stood against the Astral Empire when it mattered. The idea of legacy appeals to them. Slowly, the pieces fall into place. The Hadazi commit. The Artuk agree to stand with the coalition. The Suran accept the promise of legacy. Elena and Donnie finally manage to push the Aarakocra and Three Kreen toward a compromise. Neither can afford to stand apart any longer. Finally, all agree. For the first time, all 5 clans stand on the same side. The agreement is formalized. Ships and forces are committed, and the beginnings of a united fleet take shape. Doom Space is no longer simply a collection of isolated peoples waiting for the Astral Empire to find them. They have a coalition, and now they have to decide how to use it. The clans return to their own ships and settlements to prepare for the fight ahead. Donnie feels that hope more than anyone. For the first time since Lyra fell, he can imagine that his home planet might actually be saved. His thoughts turn to Jimmy and the rest of his family, remembering them running into the fields as the city was destroyed. He still does not know whether they survived, and every hour could mean more destruction. Finding allies gives him hope, but it also makes the danger ahead real. They finally have a chance. Now they have to take it. Elena finds him during this time, and they share a few quiet words. Whatever tension existed between them before has begun to disappear. They have fought beside one another, survived the same impossible situations, and now understand that they will be standing together when the real fight begins. There is a mutual respect between them that no longer needs to be explained. Oti gathers Bolin and returns to the Moon Dancer. He knows there will be plenty of fighting ahead and that everyone needs time to recover before the coalition moves. Argent, however, remains behind. He approaches Vokath and asks him for a favor. Argent has heard of Vokath's reputation as a mechanic and has now seen his work firsthand in the construction of Elena's new leg. He explains that he is a fugitive from the Fellstone Company and has been searching for his missing anchor chip and the memories he lost with it. More importantly, he wants to understand what happened to his creator, Dr. Isaac. Vokath's expression changes when he hears the name. He knew Isaac. They had studied and worked together and, for a time, considered one another friends. Vokath had heard of Isaac's death and been genuinely saddened by the loss of his old colleague. He also knows enough about the Fellstone Company to understand how far it has fallen from the ideals with which it began. Isaac had created the company with good intentions. He wanted to push technology forward, develop new inventions, and use them to improve life. Vokath remembers the ideas they shared and the possibilities they once believed they could bring into the world. But over time, the company became corrupted. Argent asks him the question that has burned inside his head as long as he can remember.
Was Dr. Isaac a good man?
Vokath considers it.
I believe he was,
He says,
and remains so from what I knew of him.
the answer stays with Argent. He asks whether Vokath would be willing to examine him. Perhaps they could run a complete diagnostic and determine whether any information locked inside Argent can be recovered. Something that might explain his missing memories, the anchor chip, or the strange sensations he has experienced since awakening. Vokath agrees to try. They make their way to Vokath's workshop and laboratory, where he prepares the equipment and begins examining Argent. He explains that they may be able to recover some of the data, but they have no way of knowing how much damage has been done or why Argent is still functioning at all. His body appears to have continued operating almost as a failsafe, preserving whatever fragile connection remains inside him. Further interference could be dangerous. Argent understands the risk. He trusts Vokath precisely because he knew Isaac and worked beside him. If anyone has a chance of understanding how Isaac built him, it is Vokath. Argent hesitates before the procedure.
If there's anything trapped inside me,
He says,
I want to know.
he looks at Vokath.
I'd just like you to try to preserve as much of me as you can.
Vokath nods.
I will, but you need to understand
Vokath says,
that whatever is inside you may react when we begin probing your systems. If there is something trapped in there, this could disturb it. It could be a misstep we cannot undo.
Argent remains silent. Why?
You could lose yourself,
Vokath continues.
or whatever is in there could take hold.
Argent considers this.
If my creator is trapped inside me,
He says,
what gives me the right to keep him there?
the words hang in the room.
If Dr. Isaac gave me life, and this is what remains of him, perhaps this is what I was meant to do.
translucent tentacle gently settles on Argent's shoulder. Flapjack has been quietly observing from nearby.
Well,
Flapjack says,
that is the philosophical question, isn't it? The nature of greater things. Difficult to decide.
The translucent creature pauses.
But one must yet decide.
Argent looks toward him.
Then let's find out.
He gives Vokath his trust. The machinery begins. Connections are established throughout Argent's body as Vokath and his assistants work around him, monitoring the readings while the diagnostic penetrates deeper into his systems. Argent jolts. It is as though a bolt of lightning has struck him. His entire mechanical body tenses, his eyes narrow, and streams of information flood through his consciousness. The laboratory disappears as Argent is flooded with data. His mechanical body jolts as the diagnostic runs deeper, but what enters him is far beyond anything a machine should be able to process. Memories, sensations, and emotions rush through him in a torrent, sometimes clear, sometimes dreamlike, as though he is moving through another person's life. He feels warmth, cold, the smell of metal and dust, paper beneath a young hand, excitement, curiosity, pride, fear. They are not his emotions, yet they feel completely real. He sees a small child playing, a young Isaac growing up, studying engineering and science, endlessly taking things apart and putting them back together. He is fascinated by problems. If something is broken, he wants to understand it. If something can be improved, he wants to make it better. Then university, long nights, experiments, and Vokath. They study and work together, developing ideas and becoming friends. Vokath helps Isaac find support for his work, and eventually the Fellstone Company is born. The company grows, so do Isaac's ambitions. He wants to solve problems that affect entire worlds. Then, the memories darken. Meetings, contracts, profit. The company begins measuring Isaac's inventions by what they can earn rather than what they can achieve. His influence slowly slips away. He's looking into the mirror. Dr. Isaac looking back. A trace of purple appears on Isaac's hand, creeping upward from his chest. He becomes older, weaker, increasingly certain that whatever is happening inside him is terminal. Still, he works. Tools, drawings, prototypes, until finally, Argent sees the creation that consumes the last years of Isaac's life. A mechanical body, his own body. The memories collapse into one overwhelming rush. Isaac's exhaustion, curiosity, frustration, and triumph all become Argent's for an instant. He can no longer distinguish his own existence from his creator's. White light consumes everything. Argent feels himself disappearing. Then he awakens. He is standing in a workshop. Not quite real, not quite a dream. Dr. Isaac's workshop surrounds him. Cold metal beneath his fingers. The smell of oil and dust in the air. Everything feels real. Yet Argent knows he cannot truly be here. Then he sees him. Dr. Isaac stands in the corner of the workshop, watching him with a warm smile, as though he has been waiting for him. "Hello, Argent." Argent studies him carefully.
This is peculiar.
Isaac smiles. "I imagine you have questions." Argent takes a moment.
What is my purpose? Was I supposed to be your protector, your vessel? Are you going to take the reins from here?
Isaac's expression softens. "No, Argent." He pauses. "I'm dead." The words are gentle, almost matter-of-fact. "This is only a memory fragment, a message I left behind for you." Argent looks at him.
Then why am I here?
"Because there are things you need to know." Isaac steps closer. "When we first conceived you, the purpose was simple. The Illithids were becoming a serious threat. The Mind Flayers needed something capable of standing against them, something that could learn, adapt, and become strong enough to fight them." He looks at Argent with quiet pride. "That was what you were built for." Argent remains still. "But I always believed you could become much more." Isaac gestures gently toward him. "I didn't want you to simply follow instructions. I wanted you to think, to learn, to make your own decisions, to discover what you could become when nobody was telling you what to do." Argent listens. There are others like you, Isaac continues. Many are still dormant, they have never awakened, but you are the key. Argent looks at him.
How?
You can wake them, Isaac smiles. If you choose to. The words settle over Argent. That is why I gave you free will. I cannot tell you what you should become. I can only give you the opportunity to decide. Argent looks down at his mechanical hands. Isaac watches him quietly. I always hoped I would be there to see what you became. Argent raises his eyes.
I wish I could have known you.
Isaac smiles warmly. I know. For a moment, neither speaks. Then Isaac looks at him with unmistakable pride. You have already become more than I ever expected. Argent straightens.
I will not stop.
He looks directly at his creator.
You have given me much more than just life. You have given me a purpose, and I will do my best to fulfill it.
Isaac's smile grows softer. He steps forward and embraces Argent. For a moment, Argent simply stands there, surrounded by the warmth of the man who created him. Isaac holds him tightly. I'm proud of you, son. Argent remains in the embrace for a moment longer, then they slowly separate. Isaac reaches for a screwdriver lying on the workbench and turns it in his hand. Now you have to wake up. With a sudden, almost playful motion, he taps Argent on the head and the workshop disappears. An immense surge of information tears through Argent as the connection snaps back into place. He's thrown into his own body. Back in Vokath's workshop, Argent suddenly jolts upright. His mechanical body convulses as streams of heat and residual energy pour from his systems. The assistants scramble around him, checking instruments as machinery hisses around them. Cooling fluid is poured over his overheated frame. Then slowly, Argent becomes still. He sits there, heat radiating from his body as his systems finally begin to settle. Vokath looks down at him.
Are you all right?
Argent looks up.
I'm fine. Better than fine.
His eyes settle.
I know what I must do.
He looks around at Vokath and the others who helped with the procedure.
Thank you.
Then he turns to Vokath.
I owe you one.
Vokath gives him a small smile.
You don't owe me anything.
Argent considers that.
Well, I do owe you a favor.
Vokath's smile widens.
Well, I do like having favors.
Argent adjusts himself and walks out of the workshop. In the hallway, Donnie is approaching when he sees him. He stops.
Are you all right?
Argent looks at him.
I'm fine. I'm actually great.
He continues walking.
I'm exactly the way I'm supposed to be.
Donnie looks after him, slightly bewildered. Then he asks.
Piece of cake?
Argent pauses.
I like cake,
A beat.
but I think I'm going to have an onion too.
Donnie blinks. Argent walks away, leaving him standing in the hallway, still trying to work out what exactly just happened. The coalition is ready. The crews of the Moondancer and the Last Breath spend the next hours going over their plan. Their destination is Xerxespace, the home system of the Xerexian Empire, centered around the dying star Xerxes and protected by the Imperial Citadel. They know they cannot attack the Astral Elves head-on. Their forces are too large and the Citadel is too heavily protected. They only need time. The Allied ships will form an arrow around the Moondancer, breaking through the Astral Elf fleet, and whatever other defenses stand between them and Xerxes, the Moondancer will remain in the center, protected by the others, for as long as possible. It is not a foolproof plan, but they do not need to win the battle outright. They need to create an opening. If the Moondancer can reach the ritual, they may be able to disrupt it. And if the Astral Elves on the worlds within Xerxespace are divided, perhaps there are still those who might support Zedali against Zeleth. They can only hope. Preparations begin. Oti stands on deck with Bolin, watching the darkness of the Astral Sea. As the night deepens, he grows quieter, gathering himself for what is coming. Eventually, he turns toward the ram.
This battle is going to be dangerous.
He says in his usual blunt, slightly awkward way.
If you want to stay on the ship instead, you can.
Bolin looks at him.
I don't think I can stop this ritual from the ship.
Oti nods.
No, you probably can't. But afterwards, if we make it through, you could be free. You could go wherever you want. Prance around the fields of Lyra or something.
Bolin looks at him.
Do you want to be rid of me?
No, that's not what I mean. You're not my pet.
Odie looks at him.
You're my friend.
Bolin gives a small nod.
You're my friend too.
The two remain together on deck, quietly watching the stars. If they survive, they will deal with everything else afterward. For now, they prepare. Elena spends some time with Commodore Crocs and Flapjack, sharing a quieter moment with the people who have fought beside her through everything that has brought them here. Flapjack, the translucent squid-like creature guiding the moon dancer, remains at the helm while the crew prepares for the coming assault. Donnie thinks about Lyra, his family, and Jimmy. He never imagined that his journey would lead here. He had once been trying simply to survive the destruction of his home. Now he is preparing to enter the heart of an astral elf empire in the hope of saving it. Argent works with Oti on the herbs and poison they have been developing together. He carefully coats his double bayonet revolvers, making sure everything is ready before the fighting begins. Prince Amdur also joins the preparations. He and Donnie share a brief word about what lies ahead. They share the same hope that if they succeed, they may not only save Lyra, but give the people of Doomspace a chance to survive as well. Topola takes charge of navigation. With her extraordinary cartographic knowledge, she plots their approach through the astral sea, calculating the safest route towards Xerxes base and the best point from which the fleet can make its assault. For several days, the ships travel. Then, the stars ahead begin to change. Xerxes base appears before them. At its center burns Xerxes, the enormous star whose dying light is at the heart of everything they are trying to stop. Beyond it, the towers and structures of the Xerxian Empire rise against the darkness, with the Imperial Citadel standing at the center of its power. The fleet continues forward. Then, the alarms begin. They have been spotted. Astral elf vessels move into position. Above them, solar dragons take flight, their radiant bodies sweeping through the darkness as they prepare to intercept the approaching fleet. The crew is tense. They knew this was coming. They just hoped they would have more time. The Allied ships accelerate. The arrow formation tightens. The moon dancer remains protected in the center. Ahead, the astral elf fleet closes around them. On the last breath, Captain Grimzod Garganhale prepares his alchemist's fire. The vampirate captain is ready to make their arrival, one the astral elves will remember. The solar dragons descend. The first ships brace for impact. Then a roar comes from behind them. Everyone turns. A crimson dragon tears through the darkness. Selen. She sweeps past the fleet, already moving toward the approaching solar dragons, ready to join the fight. Elena watches her flyby. Despite everything that lies ahead, a small, knowing smile crosses her face. Selen is here, and the battle for Xerxes has begun.